Councillors, you've got a 1 minute warning. Are we all ready to go with the recording down the back? Yep, cool.
Good morning, councillors, and welcome to the Planning, Economic Development and Environment Committee meeting of the 15th of March. Woo! I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we meet and the elders past, present and emerging. I'd like to advise attendees in this room that the meeting is being webcast and audio recorded, and I remind attendees to take all COVID safety precautions. Do we have any leaves of absence other than me being late? Okay. I ran up the stairs. We'll start with the Development and Assessment Manager, Stephen Ball. He has no reports because he's been so busy. Do you have any GB for us, Stephen?
Through the chair, no I don't.
Thank you. Councillors, do you have any GB for the manager? Nope. Excellent. Back to work. Councillors, will now move into a deputation from Invest Logan, which is item 4.1. Before we move into any discussions, do any councillors have any conflicts of interest that they would like to declare at this time? No. I note that item 4.1 is confidential and it's necessary to take the discussion of this report into a closed session, as a confidential attachment associated with the covering report contains commercial in confidence information regarding council's budget. Do any councillors wish to move into closed session for this item? Councillor Bradley has moved. Councillor Power has seconded. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That has been carried unanimously with the exception of Councillor Hall.
Against.
Thank you, Councillor Hall. Councillors will now move into... oh, sorry. And Councillor Bannon.
Leave it tied there.
I just couldn't see you because
you
got no jacket on. I couldn't see it.
Against.
Thank you, Councillor Bannon. Councillors, we're now in confidential session and the video stream will stop, but the audio recording will continue for record-keeping purposes. in open session and there is a motion on the screen. Can I have someone to move that motion, please? Thank you, Councillor Stemp, seconded by Councillor Bradley. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That has been carried unanimously. Thank you, councillors. And thank you very much, Maddie and Stephen. Good to see you, and Cameron. Councillors, we'll now move on to item 4.2. I'm mindful that due to a deputation at 10 a.m, we will have to be finished by 10 to 10 so that we can adjourn and open the next committee meeting. So we'll move into confidential, and I trust that you've read the report and your questions will be very direct. Before we move into any discussion on this item, do councillors have any conflicts of interest they'd like to declare? The item is considered necessary to take discussion into confidential as it contains information that is commercial in confidence and relates to council's budget. Would any councillors like to move into confidential, or are you happy to vote on it as it stands? Oh, sorry. I will speak slower. Sorry, Councillor Lane. No, I'm not puffing anymore. My stair run is complete. No one wants to move into confidential? Excellent. I love it. Councillors, you have a motion on the screen, unless there's any questions. Dave, do you want to speak to the report in open, or are you happy to have it taken as read? Taken as read, thank you. Councillors, you have a motion on the screen. Would any councillors like to move that motion? Thank you, Councillor Jeremiah, seconded by Councillor Bannon. All those in favour, please raise your hand. Thank you, that has been carried unanimously. Thank you, Councillor Wilcox. The manager is Dave Radich. Thank you for moving through that one so quickly. Dave, do you have any general business for us?
Through the chair, I do.
You may speak to it.
Good morning, councillors. In February this year, I spoke to you all about some community consultation we were doing on version 9 of the planning scheme, which was the version that related to the major review of the planning scheme. So you may remember last year we met with you all individually, a couple of meetings, a couple of workshops to see what was important for this council to address in the planning scheme. So that public consultation on those pieces of policy put forward to council went out for public consultation in February, and I spoke in general business about us taking a digital approach to consultation. And if you remember, at the start of the year we were kind of in the height of the pandemic, so we thought that if we were out in shopping centres and other places like that, we may not be getting that much input from the community, so we chose to do a digital campaign. In February in general business, I also said that I'd report back to you on how that campaign went. So that's the purpose of this GB item today. So I'm glad to say that the digital campaign did reach a lot of people in your community. Generally on a planning scheme amendment would get maybe 10, 20, up to 50 submissions. We doubled or close to tripled that. We got 132 submissions on version 9 of the planning scheme. So the majority of the submissions were generated from social media, and particularly from the councillors' social media. So we really see that as a great tool for us to talk to the community, and particularly when we're leading into a new planning scheme. So we'd really like to utilise your social media reach to attract interest in planning schemes. So just to break it down a little bit, so the healthcare service amendment, that got 5 submissions. On the lot size and diversity, which was introducing a minimum lot, we got 51 submissions. The major planning scheme amendment, which covered a whole range of things, such as ensuring a communal bin is provided in multi-unit developments, that received 44 submissions. And the mixed-use zone, which was around making sure that our industrial areas remain industrial and we don't have childcares and other kind of sensitive uses popping up in those zones. So overall, we're fairly happy with the reach that we got. It's certainly the biggest reach that we've ever had with a planning scheme amendment. Just to put it in perspective, when we did a new planning scheme in 2015, we received 700 submissions. So we've got 1/7 of that as part of this major review of the scheme. So happy to take any questions if anyone has any, but I made a commitment to you that I'd come back to you with the results. And after this, Christian, being the program leader of the planning scheme, will send some more data around.
Thank you, Dave. Great to see some acknowledgement of Councillor's social media being helpful to the organisation. Nice change of pace for what we usually hear. Councillor Murphy, Councillor Heremiah and Councillor Bradley.
Thank you through the chair. Thank you, Dave. I'd just like to say thank you. It always gives great debate when we're talking about the planning scheme. In my community particular, the healthcare services, I'm glad to see that we have received those submissions, and I'm absolutely positive that we've made the changes required for our community. I'd also like to say thank you to reaching out to some of the real estate agents in our area that provide leasing opportunities for our properties. I know that you did a special submission and a catch up with one of the larger real estates in the area that looks after 50 commercial properties that will be affected by this planning scheme. So I just wanted to say thank you to the team for going over and above with questions being asked and answered. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Murphy. Councillor Heremiah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a simple question today. In 2018, Brisbane City Council undertook a process where they wanted to hear from their community about town planning. But instead of going the normal route that councils do, a lot of the time they wanted to take a new approach. So they spent some time developing a video game called Plan Your Brisbane. And this video game is on your computer. You launch it on a website, anyone can access it. And the player has to balance 4 outcomes: lifestyle, travel time, green space, and affordability. And the player actually gets to choose where to put employment land, where to put high rises, where to put residential developments. And it's just about awareness as well as taking community feedback from people living in the city to hear about what they want from town planning. I wanted to ask, is there any opportunity to piggyback off some of these more innovative ideas that councils around us have explored? And is council considering making contact to understand how we can use more modern and up-to-date tools when it comes to getting community feedback to do with town planning?
Through the chair, certainly we are. We're working with Brisbane and understanding what their experience with that online tool was. It was a bit of a, while it was a very good tool, there was some industry feedback that we received that was not particularly positive about that tool. But it was quite interactive. I used it myself. So later on this month, we'll be actually launching the OCP, which is the online community portal, and we'll share that link with all the councillors. You'll see that is innovation at its core when it comes to planning, and we are confident that we are at the cutting edge of innovation when it comes to planning, and we are widely celebrated for the tools that we have online, the PD Hub, the way that people can easily translate quite complex pieces of planning into simple speak. So to answer your question, we can particularly investigate whether there is a way to gamify some of those things and come back to you, Councillor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Heremiah. Dave, if you're going to make a game less of a gimmick than what Brisbane did and more of a meaningful tool, that'd be great. Because I remember using it, lots of my family were using it, and found that there was a foregone conclusion with almost every decision you made where they channeled you into what they wanted. Councillor Bradley.
Thank you. I'm probably one of the few councillors that didn't share what you were doing, the consultation, because I'm waiting for the Springwood component, which I believe is later in the year. My reason for putting my hand up, I just wanted to gauge what sort of feedback did you get about the healthcare facilities?
Through the chair, the majority of the feedback from the healthcare facilities were people raising concerns about things that we were already addressing in the amendment itself. So it was a bit of the concerns that were raised have been already addressed. So perhaps people didn't quite understand what we were trying to achieve with that amendment. But the process is that we will come back to council with I guess a list of the top concerns with the amendments themselves before we go and respond to all the submitters.
Thank you, Councillor Bradley. Councillors, do you have any general business for the manager? No? Thank you, Dave, for chewing up our 15 minutes. Good man. With your indulgence, councillors, I won't move into the next items, but I will ask Michael Asnikar to come forward as the Manager of Health, Environment and Waste, so that we can say thank you to Brett Lee for his impeccable service to the organisation, and then we'll go and adjourn so that we can have the 10 o'clock deputation. I'll let Michael compliment you first, Brett, and then we'll all take our turn.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. So I've got 15 minutes for...
You got 5 minutes. I know you've got to wrap up a career in 5 minutes.
Won't take that long.
We can give him some more afterwards, though.
No, so I'm sure most of you know Brett. Some have known Brett for a long time. Brett's been with council for nearly 40 years, and most of that time in waste management. His retirement timing is very good. He retired a couple of weeks before the flood hit. So he did announce that a year ago, so I'm sure, I don't know where he got his information from, but he did well. Brett will correct me here if I get this wrong, but Brett started in 1983, as an environmental health officer in the then Logan City Council Health Department. He's obviously seen many council and organisational changes over his time with council, including sitting, I understand, in the same team as local law officer Darren Power. When in the 80s,
and former Pen Parker.
And administration officer Pen Parker at the time, look, yes, Brett's been a very steady, reliable, core part of the waste management services for this city for the majority of that time that he's been at council and involved in waste management. Basically making sure that all of our waste and recycling contracts are in place, working as they should, really to deliver that frontline service to the community, and that they're performed as required. Look, given Brett's tenure at council, I just wanted to show my appreciation for what he's done here today and wish him and his wife Linda all the very best in their retirement. Thank you, Brett. Over to you if you want to. I think I've taken up 2 of the 5 minutes, so.
Thanks, mate. Very, very kind words. I won't take up much of your time. I just want to say how grateful I am, happy I am that I'm able to go out at the time and in the manner of my choosing. I know that's not always possible for everyone. You guys in this room particularly know that. Darren, John, Lisa and Laurie, I see you and I respect you for your integrity. I've said I got here 39 years ago and then didn't leave, so I kind of voted with my feet in terms of whether Logan City Council is a good place to work or not. I think the fact that I've been here for that long indicates that it's a great place to work. So thank you for that as the current Logan City Council. I really appreciate that. I'm well aware of how lucky and privileged I am. And I will finish off with just saying you guys are so lucky to have Michael and Richard, 2 of the greatest technical guys and people managers in the council. So thank you.
Thanks, Brett. And just finally, introducing Sam Wiley to everybody, who's Brett's replacement. So he's got 38 years ahead of him. Well done, Sam. You also picked a great time to start. So, yeah.
Thank you. I know, stay put, Brett. I'm sure that at least the Mayor and a few others will want to give you some praise. So, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Look, sad day. I've known Brett for a long time. I've only been here 32 years coming up next month. So I'd just like to acknowledge great service we've received from Brett. Working with him has been great. He's ever reliable sort of a character. And I used to ring Brett up all the time with problems as a councillor, and Brett was always very good to the councillors and would understand the issues and get to the problem and fix it, which was great. So I'll miss Brett. Seeing these type of people in the organisation and see them leave, it's not, yeah, it's a sad day because you can rely on these people. Obviously, new people are untested. When you see people like Brett, though, you know, ever reliable. And will be a big loss to the organisation. And I think of all the people that Brett worked with years ago. Brett is a survivor. Because he's been a good officer for no other reason. And Brett wanted to stay, which is great. He could have probably seen opportunities in other local authorities, so we owe Brett for that, for his loyalty, for staying here. So, and he's delivered his knowledge over the years has been, beneficial to the city. So thank you, Brett, and I hope you have I don't know if you're retiring or what, but if you are retiring, good on you. I won't be that far behind you. Thanks, mate.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Councillor Bradley.
Thank you so much, Brett, for everything that you have done over your time. I actually only last week said to my support staff, can you ring Brett and he'll help you? Didn't even know you were gone, so there you go. Look, I wish you all the best, and you're right, go on your own terms. That's a good way to go. I'll be doing the same.
Would any other councillors like to say thank you? If not, I'll finish off by saying, Brett, before I was chair, I would interact with you mostly around curbside cleanup, which is always a pinch point for every councillor. When I became chair this term, I built a much closer understanding of how hard you worked, how trustworthy your advice is, and how reliable you are, and that exceptional understanding of the business, exceptional understanding of the community, and how proactive you were with making sure that councillors knew what they needed to know in order to keep our communities informed and calm was nothing short of exceptional. So thank you very much for your service on behalf of us and the community. You will be sorely missed. Sam's got a lot of miles to catch up on, but he started out well with the floods. He's done a good job the last 2 weeks, but you really are the definition of a servant of the public, and in the best possible way, and thank you very much for your service. Thanks, I appreciate it. Take care. Councillors, thank you for your indulgence on those kind words. The time is 9:52, and I don't mind making TMR wait to say thank you to an exceptional staff member. We will adjourn. I'll move that the meeting be adjourned, and so that we can have a deputation, and the City Infrastructure Committee meeting will open at 10:03 a.m. Do I need someone to second it, or is it just me? Would someone like to second the adjournment? Thank you, Councillor Lane. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That has been carried unanimously. Thank you, councillors. The meeting is adjourned 9:53. City Infrastructure starts at 10:03 a.m.